Our second video in unusual notes in cool licks and riffs. We're looking at Santana's Smooth, the introduction, which sounds like this. Which I'm hoping you recognize. Now we're first going to learn the phrase, learn the tune, and then we're going to analyze what note we didn't expect to see inside the lick. Because in this specific key, one of these notes at first glance shouldn't be there. But once we know our theory, we can justify and understand how Santana was thinking, or what influenced him, what scale influenced him to put this riff together. Now your PDF is printed out. I'm going to focus more on the fretting hand, and your opening riff should, or there's 4 phrases of this riff, should sound like this. Now I'm doing a hammer on from the 12 to the 14, like that. And if you see my picking hand, we'll bring him into the picture there, you'll notice I'm only picking once. So the hammer on is done by the 3rd finger. Okay, back to the fretting hand again. It goes down to 12 on the 3rd string, back to the 14, and then a very quick hammer on. You'll notice that the 12 to the 14 at the end of the 6-note phrase is slightly smaller. The 12 there is tiny with respect to the 14. So it's a very quick hammer on. So the first one's not as quick. And you can hear the last 2 notes were very quick hammer on. Okay, if you want to try that with me. 2, 3, 4. And now the second riff, you'll notice that on your tab it's sort of broken down into 4 sections as well. Your second riff's going to start like this. Now just to get that initial phrase going, you're going to start with finger 2 on the 13. So we want to try and adhere to 1 finger per fret. 13, 14, cross over to 12 on the 2nd string. Bend him up a semitone to the 13 and then release it back to the 12 one more time, which is the same as going, but you don't physically go to the 13, you bend the 12 to sound like the 13. That's why it's in brackets. After that you come back 14, 13, do a cool little hammer on from 12 to 13, and then onto the 14 on the 3rd string. So it's very important to be here, 1 finger per fret. It's going to sound like this. You can notice that everything in fret 12 is finger 1, everything in fret 13 is going to be the middle finger, and everything in the 14 is going to be the ring finger. So one more time. Okay, that's the second phrase. Onto the 3rd phrase, the next line, you'll see it's got a whole lot of 14s in brackets, and above that in red it says bend up toned 3 times and hold. And then there's a 12, and then it says release. Now this is quite sneaky because you have to make sure your guitar stays quite quiet. And to help get your guitar quiet, I just want to focus quickly on the fretting hand. Now what I'm going to show you here, I want you to look for, is have a look at these fingers here. They're actually holding onto those strings. So there's no ways those strings are dead. So if I lifted it, noisy, and I'm actually using that finger, this finger, and even the pinky is being evolved here to keep those strings quiet. So when I'm playing, I take my fingers out the way as I need them. And especially for this next part, when I bend a lot, my thumb is actually resting on the top 2 strings. You can see the string moving, and you can see those fingers there busy pushing on the strings as well. So there's no ways that the other strings can make a noise while I'm bending. Now onto the fretting hand. Okay, if you hear any string noise on your own playing, make sure your picking hands, fingers are the correct technique. Now onto that 12 bend tone, you're going to go. You see there's 3 bends there. I keep it there, and while the note stays there, obviously it fades out after a while, I bring the pinky down and play the note underneath. So slow motion, watch this. Now I want that double. Go back to the bent string, release him, and onto the 10 on the same string. So slow motion, let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, pinky, And there you got it. And it actually sounds quite cool when you got those two notes ringing together. So that's the sneaky riff of the three. Oh, sorry, the third riff. Now the last riff is quite easy. That's just going to go. You can do a pull off on a slide there. And there's only one pick there you can see from my plectrum in the corner. And you'll notice it's still, these fingers are still holding the strings nice and tight. So there's no where's I got string noise in any way. Most of Santana's songs got normally quite a high gain. So high gain means lots of distortion. Lots of distortion means very susceptible to string noise. Keep your strings quiet. Thumb on the strings, you can see them moving, and there we go. One more time. Then maybe a little slide from the 12 to the 14. And you got the riff. Okay, now for the purpose of this video, which note shouldn't be there? Now, this song happens to be in the key of C major, which is A minor, which means if you know your mode positions, if you're playing by fret 12 in the key of C, the notes that are available to us will be supplied by the Phrygian scale in the 6th string. For those who prefer to work the modes from the 5th string, which I personally don't recommend, I'll explain it in another video why. You could also play the A Aeolian from the 5th string fret 12, and it will also sound like this. That note shouldn't have been there. My fault, apologies. Okay. Now, getting onto the whole thing over here, the note that doesn't fit, if you look at the beginning of the second phrase, that 13 is G sharp. Okay. If you're in the key of C, you should know there are no sharps in the key of C. Okay. No sharps, no flats. So that note mustn't be there, but we know it works. Interesting, because you've got a G over here, which is in the key of C major, A minor, and a G sharp, which shouldn't be there. Now, for those that know the different types of minor scales, the trick over here, or the approach to think of, is to start in the key of C major, kick over to the relative minor, A minor, and then know that there are three types of minor. The Aeolian, which is the natural minor. I'm just playing it over one octave now. All the notes are natural, no sharps and flats. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Then comes the harmonic minor. A, B, C, D, E, F, G sharp, A. And there's your G sharp. And if I play the scale over the full range of all the strings, I like putting those two notes in as well, because they are part of the key as well. So what I'm saying over here, to summarize, G sharp isn't initially in the key of C because there are no sharps and flats in C. Fact 1. Fact 2 is when we go to the relative minor, being A minor, and you start exploring the other types of minor scales, like the natural minor, the harmonic minor, and there's also melodic minor, which just for by the way goes like this: A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, but it comes back the same way as the natural. But that's a study for another day. Our goal over here was to say, no G sharps please, it's the key of C. Santana says, but it sounds nice. We want to know why it sounds nice. It comes from the harmonic minor. Okay, so your G sharp is what gives it that unique sound. Now, if you go into the chord structure of the song, you'll notice the chords are included on the PDF that I'm sending through with it as well. The chords are going to be A minor, and there's an E7, which goes A minor, F, E7. Now, E7 has got the notes E, G sharp, and that's the G sharp coming from the harmonic minor. It's an accidental, so it shouldn't really be in the key of C, but it sounds cool, so we need to justify it. Harmonic minor and even the melodic minor will actually give you that note we're looking for. So the lesson learned over here, G sharp can be found in the key of C. It comes from the A harmonic minor. If you want to learn more about the harmonic minor scale, let me know and I'll send you the correct videos and the links and the notes for them. But for this song, what have we done? We've learned Smooth's introduction. We've learned some cool techniques. We've learned some nice damping techniques with the fingers over here, keeping the guitar quiet. We've learned that you can combine scales together. So say, for example, now you can take your G and G sharp and do this. That actually hasn't got a name, but there's no rule that says you can't combine them. And that's quite nice because you can be more creative now and you can understand why you can incorporate different notes into your playing. And of course, you got some nice chords as well from the sequence. And then just for by the way, quickly, another very prominent chord that Santana likes using is the minor 7 flat 5. That looks like this. And the easiest way for me to memorize it, in fact, I'm just going to bring the guitar a bit closer here, it's easier to see. Play me a normal D. We all know D, I'm sure. If you don't, you're at the wrong video. Okay, you take the D up 1, 2 strings, so it looks like D in the wrong place, and the pinky comes into the 2nd string, 3rd fret, B minor 7 flat 5. And check how nice this chord sequence sounds as well. So it's A minor, F, E7, and then E7 is basically C7 shifted up as if it were a bar chord, D7, E7. And you can even incorporate the open strings because it's an E. Goes through twice, A minor, F, E7, again. And then the third line goes D minor, F. Nice quick change to B minor 7 flat 5 there. And back to your E7. Nice changes. Anyway, we're not here to teach the song. We're here to see what notes shouldn't be in the key of C, but sound so really cool when we do use them and where they come from. Summarize one more time. Harmonic minor offers us a G sharp in the key of C. It's called an accidental, and that's how come we can do this riff. Have an awesome day. Any questions, you know to reach me.